Prakashan. Bright Tutee provides online digital learning content for the K-12 level in a variety of languages for more than 20 educational boards in all of the major subjects.
And now we have Mr. Sunil Sharma with us. He's a subject matter expert, having experience of more than 26 years, author, editor, writer. So, sir, the platform is all yours. You can share your screen and start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, whatever the case may be. So, welcome to the webinar. And I would thank Ms. Jain and Goel Brothers for giving us this platform. I'm audible, right, everyone?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So,
but the screen is not visible right now.
No, I'm sharing screen.
Yeah, okay.
It's on, video's on. I don't know. You can't see me?
Sir, I can see you, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in ICSE, normally people, not ICSE, all over, people think, history is something which is pretty boring and you can't score marks. Now, what I have seen in so many years of my teaching experience, history is not a difficult subject. It is very easy to score. But the problem lies with one, teachers and students. Because, history, we have assumed that it should be long answers. We should be filling in pages. ICSE history definitely is not like that. It is to the point. You must have heard your teacher telling you, write point wise. Each mark, it's 1 point. So 1 point is 1 mark. So if there's a question of 2 marks, 2 points. 3 marks, 3 points. And now you've seen the ICSE is pretty generous when it comes to marks. Now the questions are only 2, 2, 3, 3. You don't have, there was a time when you had, question marks, question carrying 5, 6 marks. So we don't have that now. So it's not difficult. You have to be, and ICSE is you have to be studying smartly. Don't have to do a donkey's work. Okay. Now I'll show you a small PPT so you'll get an idea how and what. Now, this is what it is first. I always believe start with the topics which are simple, smaller. Now, when you're doing history, the world history part, I would ask you guys to start with a chapter which is the rise of dictatorship. Right? You have to do only a few points in that. That is ideology, nothing else. And there'll be no explanation on that. The question will be, if asked, mention 2 ideologies, or if you've seen the sample paper in that also they mentioned. So start with small chapters, small topics. Pick up the topics which are simple, and you decide what is simple. See that kids, they some of them believe World War is very difficult to learn. They prefer president or prime minister. Now, use of AV, audio video media to learn. YouTube is there. There are a lot of channels. There are videos on that. There are movies on it. And especially the topics you're doing in world history. They're fantastic movies. You have causes and results of the war. It shows event also. Now, you don't have that for your result, for your exams in World War II, but it is very interesting. Now, secondly, jot down the points, underline the keywords. You must have heard your teachers telling you the keywords, right? Copy it down. Use a pencil, underline. I still do that. When I'm reading something, writing something, underline it. When I'm doing it, what happens, I can relate. Next time when I'm looking at the book, I know this is where what was important. Use short forms, mnemonics. It will help you to remember more. Now, when you talk of World War I, take example, like, you ICSE, we're doing MOV. Now Treaty of Versailles, make it TOV. So it will be easy for you to relate. Short forms, economics, mnemonics, whatever you feel like. Mnemonics you want to do, make your own. Don't depend on the teacher. You may like whatever you feel like. So use that. Now you all have been using mobile for the last few years. You are a generation which is very mobile. So use your mobiles, use your voice notes, record your topics and listen to it. There's some topics which you find it difficult. So what you do is you record it in the mobile and keep on listening to it. Now what it will do is it'll save your time as well. Because once you're doing it, it's recorded, it is there with you forever until you delete it. And when you're listening, you can note it down as well. So it's going to help you. So smaller topics, simple topics, use media, jot down the points, underline, copy it down in the book. Or what you can do, you can use those post-it in the textbook itself. Use short forms, mnemonics, use your voice notes, mobile to record the topic and listen to them. Solve papers. Very important. Now, your parents must be having a lot of papers, your friends, your teachers, they must be sharing papers with you. Do that, solve them. Now, if you don't know certain topic, it's fine. What you do is read that and write it down, but write. Do chapters which you like first. Not necessary that, if you go in order, you should be doing civics first, study-wise. Now in civics also, if you like, say High Court. High Court is hardly not even 2 pages. You have to do the composition, qualification of the judges, appointment. Then you have the distinction, the differences between the district judge and the session courts. Then you have Lok Adalat and the advantages. So start with that topic. And very important, 10 and 11 go together. Do not have any mental blocks. History is boring. History is bakwas, people say. It's all bunk, Nobody likes history. And I'll tell you a fact of the matter. Whatever you study is actually history. Names are different. Now, if you're taking up science, what are you doing in science? History is whatever happened in past. So it happened in the past. It's history. Answer point-wise. 2 marks, 2 points. And do not copy the question, just the answer. And please try and understand when you're talking of writing the answers, your question always will have list, mention, explain. Mention just the 1-line answer. Don't have to explain anywhere. List just the causes. Suppose you ask the causes of World War II. 1, Hitler's invasion of Poland. 2 marks, I'm saying. Japanese invasion of China. 2 marks done. The same thing for 4 marks or 3 marks. Explain. Suppose they ask you to explain the Treaty of Versailles, how Germany was, humiliated by the treaty. You explain then. You can start with the fine they had to pay. Anybody remembers how much fine they had to pay? $33 billion, if you know. Then know what to study. The biggest problem is, it's both sides, even teachers, parents, and students. You have a syllabus. If you're using a textbook, all of them have a syllabus scope given in the box. Study what is there, and you people still have something called as reduced syllabus. Go through it. It's very important. Because the council is going to ask you questions only on the scope of the syllabus, what is there in it. Like if I'm talking of World War I, arms race is not part of it, right? So there'll be no question on that. When you talk of Hitler's invasion, it is there. Treaty of Versailles is there. League of Nations is not there in World War II. It is there in it's not in World War I. It's there in World War II. And good reference books. Now you have hardly a month left. Still a lot of time. I'm not telling you to go back to, thick books. And all of you have this Kindle and you have those apps which you can use for reading. Do not change the order of the questions. Now, if the question starts with question 1, which is multiple choice, just write what the answer is. And numbering is important. Don't change the number also. Start with question 1 and then go on to the rest. And please, you have question 1, which is compulsory, multiple choice. Then you have part 2, where you have civics first. They'll give you 2 questions. One normally is the executive and other is judiciary. So President, Prime Minister, and Judiciary, Supreme Court and High Court, and Lok Adalat and the subordinate courts. So if you're not doing President, Prime Minister, it's fine. Your question number 2, it won't be 2, it will be 3 then. And if I would be giving exams, I would prefer Supreme Court and High Court for long answers. Short answers, you have to do everything. You can't leave anything. And don't be happy with getting 35, 37. Target 40. It's easily available. It's not difficult at all. After each question, sub-question, leave at least 2 or 3 lines. The reason is, when you're doing it, if suppose you've forgotten a point, you have space to write it down. Clear? Then new question on a new page. So, if you're half the page is done with the answers, don't start, go to the next page, take a fresh page. Reason, if you've forgotten something, you've written something wrong, you have space there, you can continue with it. Because, when we go for corrections, we don't want people to write question number 2C, 1 point, done on the last page. Avoid. And if you don't know, ask your friends, ask your teachers. Nobody is going to say no. We all are there to help you. Whichever school you are, wherever in India, outside India, whichever place you are in, your teachers know a lot. Ask them. And if you have some friends, some people like civics more, some people like the world history part more, go and talk to them. Sit with them. Ask them. You ask, you shall receive. Now, example, see, this is what you're supposed to be doing. I gave the TOV. The TOV stands for the Treaty of Versailles. Causes, nationalism, the meaning you should be knowing. Now, how much to write in nationalism? Suppose it's 1 mark point. It's simply nationalism as a love for your country. That much, that's it. Now, the same question, suppose it's for 3 mark. You will explain nationalism. You will write what aggressive nationalism is, what is imperialism, and with an example, like how Germany had captured Alsace-Lorraine. France wanted it back. Extreme hatred, love for your own country and hatred for others becomes extremist nationalism. Now you guys are aware what is happening in Russia, Ukraine. Is extreme aggressive nationalism. Then division of Europe, you have to remember, and I said the use of mnemonics. So when you talk of division of Europe, they're divided in 2 groups, Triple Alliance and Triple Entente. So what I do is, when I teach, I write down TA and TE. And then in TA, write GHAI. Now it stands for Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. And other side, it becomes BFR, Britain, France, and Russia. And when the war starts, if you are aware, Italy leaves the Triple Alliance and it becomes part of allies. So the Central Powers then become GHAT, G-H-A-T. I is replaced by Turkey. Germany, Hungary, Austria, Hungary, whatever the case you want, and Turkey. And Britain, France, Russia. Russia leaves later on. Sarajevo crisis, who, where, why. These 3 things. So who killed? Responsible Black Hand. Who was killed? The Crown Prince of Austria-Hungary. Where? In Sarajevo. Reason? Serbs wanted Bosnia to be part of Serbia, which later becomes something called as Yugoslavia. Now, treaty results, only one you have to do, Treaty of Versailles. Now, in that, normally, Council has asked before something called as how much fine Germany had to pay, $33 billion. Okay. Then they've asked about military clauses. How was Germany affected? The army might of Germany affected. So you have to write down army being cut down to 1 lakh. No submarines, no air force, 15,000 naval personnel, and 24 ships. Then the area they lost. Colonies were taken away. Alsace-Lorraine taken away. Yupan-Malmedy given to Belgium. Schleswig-Holstein given to Denmark. Now these are names, they are difficult to write down. So what you do, start practice writing them down. Jotted them. Then dictatorship, that is fascism in Italy and Nazism in Germany, that is Mussolini and Hitler. And you have to remember this only, that is similarity of ideology, how the ideas were same. Extreme nationalism, hatred for democracy. And this will not be for explaining anything, it will be just the meaning, just one line. Now, Second World War, when we come, these are the top points you have to do. Causes, first, Treaty of Versailles. And do this from World War I. How much fine, how Germany was divided, areas taken away, given to Poland. Because, and remember that point, because that becomes the cause of World War II, Danzig. Rise of fascism and Nazism, both wanted to expand. Extreme love. They ridiculed the Treaty of Versailles. And if you remember, Hitler said that throw this in the waste paper basket, the treaty. Then Japanese invasion of China. Why? Which area they captured? So you have to write that they wanted to capture, they wanted to be a dominant force in Far East Asia, captured Manchuria. China appeals to the League of Nations. League was unable to do anything because you had appeasement being done by Britain and France and USA. They wanted Japan to weaken China so they could capture it. They could control it. But when Japan started attacking British and American properties, they did not like it. So if they had taken an action before, probably this wouldn't happen. The League of Nations failed. One simple cause is that USA was not party to it. The US Senate had said we'll not be joining the League of Nations. So easy point to remember. Then how it was misused by the strong powers. If the countries were smaller, weaker countries, League of Nations was able to take some action, get the results. But when it came to big, powerful countries, it was a failure. Give an example, like how Italy attacked Ethiopia. Hitler captured Austria and parts of Czechoslovakia. Then the last cause, Hitler's invasion of Poland. The reason why? Because Treaty of Versailles divided Germany in two parts. Now see, if this is 1 mark, you just explain that he attacked Poland on 1st September 39, causing the war. Same question for 3 marks, you got to write 3 points. So 3 points would be Danzig, wanted to regain the property, and he accused the Polish government of atrocities on Germans living in Danzig. So these 3 marks, 3 points, 3 marks. Then UN, objectives, any 4. Composition and functions, any 4 functions. Of Assembly, Security Council, and the ICJ, International Court of Justice. And in this case, kids, see that the picture questions can be asked. So look at the logos properly. Now, when it comes to dates, in this case, when was the UN formed? 24th October is a UN day. World War I, Hitler's invasion of Poland. Not all the dates. The most important event, only that. NAM, non-aligned movement. Brief meaning. So when you're doing this chapter, when the topic is there, important date or the meaning you can write. Like what I do in my school is I ask the kids to write down the meaning there itself. Now, what's the meaning? Not to join any block and follow your own policies. That is what is NAM. Objectives, easy ones. Names, now see, I've used a mnemonic, NNT, Nehru, Nasser, and Tito. So, President Nasser, Egypt, Prime Minister Nehru of India, and Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia. This is what the chapter has for you. Now, and when it comes to civics, now most of the kids believe civics is pretty boring. Now, civics is not boring, it is much more scoring because you can't change anything in it. So in that, president, the qualification, basic qualifications, citizen of India, name in the voters list, not to hold an office of profit, etc. Now, age is different. So if you remember, you've done in SEM 1 Parliament of India, right? The age there for Lok Sabha is 25, Raj Sabha is 30. Add one more, add 5 to it, 35. So president, vice president, 35 minimum age. The rest all are same. Citizen of India, name in the voters list, not to be bankrupt, should not hold any office of profit, etc. Now, reasons for indirect elections. Now, some books, Goel book says, to save logistic and money. A lot of money is spent on elections. The last Lok Sabha election, I think it was some 60,000 crores, the expenses in the elections. So you have a system where the president is also elected directly. So much of money is going to be wasted. So to avoid that. And time. A lot of time. We just saw yesterday, day before yesterday, election results came out. So indirect election, term of office, 5 years. Now see, if they ask you, what is the term of office of the president? 1 mark. Just write 5 years. You can write numeral 5 or FIV both. If the same thing comes for 2 marks, then in this case, you will explain it more. The normal term is 5 years. He can resign on his own, writing a letter to the vice president. Then comes impeachment. Impeachment meaning removal of the government officials by the parliament. Now the reason, proven misbehavior, misconduct. Who can do it? Parliament alone. Majority needed, 2/3 majority is needed. So this applies to even president, the judges, Supreme Court, High Court. This is what impeachment is. Now powers, now in this you can see, you don't have financial and judicial. You have executive. Now when you're doing executive, write down the meaning. Orders are issued on his name. He appoints. So it will become easy for to remember. Now, if you have a passport with you guys, you will see the first where the emblem, the logo of Republic of India is written. Behind that, you have an appeal by the president. So all orders are issued on the name of the president of India. All appointments are done by him on his name. Legislative, lawmaking powers. These are same as for the Parliament of India. Ordinances, nomination of members, summoning the house. The next you don't have, financial and judicial you don't have. Discretion. Hello? Is it fine now? Okay. Discretion, the meaning, that is on his own. Normally, the president has to work on the advice of the prime minister, council of ministers. But in certain cases, he can use his discretion. He will do what he feels like. So advice is not counted. So when appointment of the prime minister, in case of a hung parliament, hung houses there, nobody has a clear majority. That time you can use. Then another example is when the prime minister, something happens while in office, appointment, he can do it. Now this started with 84 when Mrs. Indira Gandhi was assassinated. There were riots in India and the political party in power was not able to meet. So the president called Rajiv Gandhi and appointed him, rejecting a bill It's up to him. But remember, when it comes to bill from the parliament, once he can reject. Second time, he has to approve that bill. Okay. Now, emergency power, the names, meaning, and when he can do it. National emergency, breakdown of constitutional machinery in a state, and financial emergency. So the reason when, and remember that he will do all this only when the cabinet gives him writing. Then we come to the vice president, qualifications, term of office, powers you don't have. So who elects him? What age is same? Rest all is same. Term of office, 5 years. He wants to resign. He write a letter to the vice president, which should be informed to the Lok Sabha. Then we come to Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. Now, formation. How is it formed? Appointment is done by the president. So this becomes executive power of the president of India. He appoints the Prime Minister. Now, how does this happen? Is elections of the Lok Sabha. The party which gets majority, the party's leader is called and appointed as the Prime Minister. Then the Prime Minister gives a list of members, his colleagues whom he wants as ministers, and the president has to appoint them. He cannot use any discretion in this. The names which are given to him by the president, by the Prime Minister, president has to appoint them. The term of office is basically, it says technically pleasure of the president. That means president can remove them whenever he feels like, but actually it depends on the Lok Sabha and the majority they have. If the Lok Sabha passes a vote of no confidence against the ministry has to resign. Now, position, powers of Prime Minister, his role as the nation, leader of the nation, leader of the Lok Sabha, because his party is in majority, leader of the cabinet, he decides the rank, he gives them the portfolios, he can reshuffle them, change them. Now, say example would be, the present the defense minister was before the present finance minister was defense minister before. So if you remember Nirmala Sitaraman, she was initially, now she's in charge of finance. There's a time when she was given defense ministry. So it's up to the president, you can't question him. Collective and individual responsibility. Now, if there are teachers there or students to understand, it's, when you play a team game, say cricket or football. So when somebody scores a century, but the team loses, can you say that, I won, I played nicely, you did not? That is collective responsibility. It's a team game. They swim and sink together. Okay. So if a vote of no confidence passes against the ministry, the whole ministry resigns. The Prime Minister resigns, the whole ministry resigns, because he forms the cabinet, he forms the Council of Ministers. The names are forwarded by him to the president. Opposite, individual responsibility. See, another example, collective would be your school, you and your teachers. We all are working together to get better results. But still, there'll be somebody who will get a 40, there'll be somebody who will miss out. Then the differences between the Council of Ministers and the cabinet are the senior ministers. Now, how to explain this? If teachers are there or students or parents, take the example of the family. Important matters. The seniors sit and they decide. Juniors are told or not even informed. Then we come to the judiciary. The judiciary, Supreme Court and High Court will be combined for one question, 10 marks. Composition. Now, according to the changes made, it is 33 plus 1. One is Chief Justice of India or Chief Justice of Supreme Court and 33 other judges. So if you're using some old books, please rectify it. Qualifications, citizen of India, age not more than 65 years, should be a jurist, etc., etc. Appointment, all appointment done by the President of India. Now there's a question on, like, question says, who appoints the Chief Justice of India? You answer 1 mark, will be President. If the question comes, how are the judges of Supreme Court appointed? Then you have to write President consulting other people involved. That is, the cabinet is involved, the judges of Supreme Court, High Court are involved. Then the powers and jurisdiction, authority, what it has, original. So when you're learning this, first write down the meaning. What does original mean? It means basically you can move directly to the Supreme Court. You don't have to go to the lower courts. Now again, to understand it, if you've seen some movies, like, there's something called as Jolly LLB. That was lower court. From there, you go to High Court. And from High Court, you appeal to the Supreme Court. So that becomes your next one, through appeals. When you're going from directly, the case goes to the Supreme Court, it's original. So what type of cases? Interstate disputes, if your rights, fundamental rights are violated, interpretation of the Constitution, all these directly go to Supreme Court. Even election of the President of India. Through appeals on what cases? Civil, constitutional, advisory. The President can seek advice of the Supreme Court on legal matters. It's not binding on him. Nothing more will come in this. No examples will be. So the meaning is the President can seek advice from the Supreme Court on legal matters, and it's not binding on the President. It's just an advice, opinion he's asking. Then revisory. That, if you, again, I give a lot of examples from games, football, cricket. Like, you have something called as umpire's review. If you play games, you will know. So what it means is basically the Supreme Court has made an error. So in this case, what the Supreme Court does, it recalls the judgment and rectifies the mistake. That is what is revisory. And judicial review is basically, it is taking up the cases which it feels does not follow the Constitution, it violates the Constitution, and it can declare such a law as illegal, ultra vires, or null and void. And then comes court of record. Two things most important is, that is, it has reference value. It can be used by the other courts in similar cases, and it can punish a person for contempt of the court. That is, you're disrespecting the court has the power to punish you. Now, if you have seen some movies, example would be Jolly LLB, or before that, there's some movie called as Rustam. If you've seen that, in that, the judge sends the newspaper and correspondent and the maid, because whatever order was given by the court was not followed by them. Then enforcement of fundamental rights and the writs. So if your rights are violated, you can go to the courts. So you shouldn't be knowing the name of the writs. And one line about them, like in case example, take quo warranto or mandamus. What it means, prohibition, stop. You do not have the power to deal with such a case. That is what it is. Then we come to the next topic, high courts and the subordinate courts. What you have to know is the high court. Where are they located? Who can create them? Parliament can. Composition, number of judges. Now, there's no fixed number in this, okay? Because it depends on the state's population and the size. And the Parliament can create. And you should know some courts which have, like, take example, Delhi. Delhi has its own high court. Normally, union territories share a high court. Now, if you take example, Punjab and Haryana High Court, it looks after Punjab, Haryana, and the Union Territory of Chandigarh. So the reason being, population is small, so they can share. Guwahati High Court looks after 4 states in Northeast. Then appointment, president appoints. And again, then advise By whom is important. Subordinate courts, only the differences between the district judge and session court. What type of cases they deal with. District judge is basically civil cases. So civil is basically you are dealing with money matters, marriages, divorce, properties. They all come under civil. Criminal is session court. Robbery, murder are example. Okay. And the district judge also acts as the administrator. He helps in collection of revenue and maintain law and order in that area. Session court has no power like that. Then Lok Adalat, only one you can see I've written meaning, people's court. That's what it is. Nothing else you have to remember. That who started, where it started is not needed. Just this much. Lok Adalat is people's court. Then advantages. Easy one, minimum cost. You save money, you save time. Then the High Court can look after important cases because the burden is not there. Now, this is one example. Now, one more thing, I forgot to tell you about the election president. Now, composition of electoral college, who elects him? Now, your book says a lot of things. In one line, if I tell you, it is elected MPs and MLAs elect him. This is what you have to write. Elected MPs and MLAs. The system used, proportional representation and single transferable vote. So there's a question that how is the President of India elected? You have to write these two things. If the question says who will elect the President of India, just write elected MPs and MLAs. 1 mark. If it's for 2 mark, how? These two words will come in. Proportional representation and single transferable vote. Don't have to go in detail of these things. This is what it is. Is it clear? Any questions? Hello? Yes, you can type it or you can ask.
So we can take the doubts.
Yes. Yes, we can.
So we can take the doubts at the end of the session.
Okay, in the session. Okay, so now it's the reason it's 5:40. So that's the reason I was asking.
You just wind up whatever is left, and then we'll let the students ask all the doubts they have.
Okay. Now see, I have nothing else left. I've covered up in the time frames because you have to see. End of the day, you have to study. You get marks when you study. When you write, you get better marks. And when you're reading and writing, it will get you more marks. Do that. And hard work pays, because you people are missed out because of COVID, the school life. So you see what I've told you the first page when I started, how you should do and what you should do. Now you're in 10th, but afterwards when you go out to college and do whatever courses, most important thing, you need to give time to your studies. I'm not saying give full day, but take out time. Okay, I have to do this much. I have 1 hour with me. I have to do this in 1 hour, and stay focused. It's very difficult to lose focus. But I would tell you to be Arjun. If you remember, the story in Mahabharata when the Guru Dronacharya was teaching them. He took a test. He asked them, "What can you see?" And he called Duryodhan. He said, "What you can see? I can see the sky. I can see the leaves. I can see the tree. I can see you." He was told, "Move out." Then he called one by one all others. He called the Pandavas also. Asked them, "What can you see?" They said, "Sir, I can see the leaves. I can see other birds and all that." Then he calls Arjun. And he is asking Arjun, "What can you see?" He say, "You can see the sky. You can see the leaves. You can see the tree. I can see you." He told, was told, "Move out." Then he called the Pandavas also. Asked them, "What can you see?" They said, "Sir, I can see the leaves. I can see other birds and all that." Then he calls Arjun. He says, I see only the eye. So that is what focus is. A lot of things are going to disturb you, will tempt you. Don't give up. So if you can see again, last May again, small chapters, topics which are simple, use of AV, mobile, for studies. Don't misuse it, okay? Write it down, underline it. Use short forms, mnemonics to learn. Voice notes. Solve papers. Solving will get you marks because you will give marks when you write. Don't know the answer, read and then write. Do chapters which you like first, topics including. Do not have any mental blocks. Be positive, write point-wise, keywords. Know what to study. That is the scopes of syllabus. Reference book, you don't have time, stick to your textbooks. Okay. And some textbooks are pretty, language counts. Some textbooks give it in very simple manner. I think Goel book is very simple when it comes to English. If you go to Oxford or some other university books, the words used are pretty high funda. Use simple words. If you don't know the spelling of independence, it's fine. Write freedom. You'll be given marks. Do not leave any question. Kids, do not leave any question. Whatever you write. We are there to give you marks for what you write. So when you're not writing, what you're doing basically is giving me easy time. Sit, write what you know, connected to the topic. And after each sub-question, leave 2 lines at least minimum. New question, new page, and talk to your teachers. There are a lot of parents and kids who say school is bekar, teachers are not good. Remember, those teachers are there in some cases with you for 12 years. And if the school teachers would have been so bad, they would not have been there. So don't blame the school, don't blame the teachers. They all are good. Ms. Jain, I'm done. I have nothing else. So we can take up questions.
Can you see any doubts in the chat box? As they must be directly, the students must be directly sending to you as well. So if you can see any doubts of the teachers.
No, I can see only book back exercises enough. No. I will tell you no. What you do is, go to the library. What I have seen is kids that don't go to library and teachers also. Use other books as well. Your textbook has a lot of books. Oh, sorry, your library has a lot of textbooks. Ask. If you don't have, ask them that we need these books. We want them. And, always go to the CISE site. They have these questions there. Last year's and, the last couple of years, sample papers are there, solve them. And somebody said, book back, Angeline, no, you have to do more. President is elected, it's simple way. See, what I tell my kids is, I write on the board. I write, elected MPs and MLAs, that is, they elect. How? I write proportional representation, capital PNR, and STV, single transferable vote, a voting system. And this was there in even Rajya Sabha. The same process is used in the elections of the MPs of Rajya Sabha. These only 2 questions. Nandini, I think it's clear now. Somebody was putting the hand up.
Yeah.
Sonali Banerjee, you were asking, I suppose.
She can write in the chat box, whatever is the doubt.
Yeah. Ms. Banerjee, you can write down the... For the first question, do we only mention the option or the word also? Achha, you're talking question number 1, right? It says write the answer. Not the option, the word, whatever the answer is.
So I guess we are done with the doubts now.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful session.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you all the
World
participants as well.
Publication.
You all can leave now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.